Have you ever considered leaving the hustle and bustle of the big city in exchange for something a little bit smaller, a little bit more quiet, perhaps something with a closer-knit community? Well, if those thoughts have been running through your mind, you are not alone. There was a great exchange during COVID of people leaving cities for much smaller places. So in this video, I would like to talk to you about my top quick 10 reasons why I think living in a smaller city is a little more ideal. So as I mentioned, things from a tighter-knit community to more outdoor adventure spaces. Sit back and relax as I talk about my top 10 reasons why I believe smaller city living is best. So tip number one is lower cost of living. I've discussed in previous videos how pretty on par Fort McMurray is with bigger cities like Edmonton, Calgary in terms of groceries and housing. But what I haven't discussed is that our property taxes are actually significantly lower. If you were looking to purchase a property, for example, like the one I live in, my taxes per year are, I think, about $4,200. If I had this same property in the city of Edmonton, my taxes would be well over $10,000 a year. So there are some benefits to a smaller city, such as lower taxes. Point number two, I say, is less traffic. Smaller cities typically have less traffic because they have less people, making it easier to get around the city. For example, when I was living in Edmonton, I was commuting 45 minutes one way just to get to my office job. And in my city in particular, if you work out on site, it is a bit of a haul. So many people actually take the bus. The oil and gas companies provide busing, so you could sleep on the bus on the way to work if you want to, and you don't even have to worry about traffic. Reason number three is closer-knit communities. You know your neighbors. You know the people across the street from you. You know the teachers at your school. You know the people that are checking out at the grocery store. You know the owner of the local chocolate shop. Smaller cities give the ability to really know the people in your community on a much deeper level, and I personally love that. So it creates a more tight-knit and, in my opinion, supportive community when you sort of know everybody. Reason number four is more green spaces. So there are usually larger parks, more parks, larger trail systems, bigger trail systems in smaller towns because we don't have as many neighborhoods and we don't have as hustle of a bustle of a downtown core. We have a lot more green spaces, which makes it really easy to enjoy nature. Reason number five is more affordable housing. So for example, you could purchase a property in Fort McMurray for probably less than you could in the city of Calgary right now. A very comparable home and a very comparable location. You're going to pay less here than you would in a bigger city. That's just a fact. Now, in my opinion, I think smaller cities allow for a better work-life balance. Typically, your commutes aren't as long. There's less distractions. People in smaller cities, I find, have a higher satisfaction in life. I was reading something about that on Google, so I mean, go ahead and Google that if you want to. But I think there's something to be said for spending more time at home, more time with your friends, more time with family, and less time on the distractions of a big city or a long commute. Now, tip number 8 kind of goes along with tip number 3. I think smaller cities have way more personalized customer service. Most small cities have many, many locally owned businesses. You know that person knows you. You probably know their daughter. Your husband might have taught them in school. Your level of customer service, in my opinion, goes up greatly when you have such a nice, deep personal connection. And that is another reason why I love living in a small city. Reason number 9, more opportunities for outdoor activities, because when you're less urbanized, you have more natural landscapes. Smaller cities just offer more opportunity for outdoor activities really close to home. You don't need to leave the city to go camping. You don't need to leave the city and drive for an hour and a half to go find a lake or a river to play on. It's usually really close, right in your backyard. And so my reason number 10 about why smaller cities are bigger than bigger cities is that they're just a little bit more charming. I find smaller towns and smaller cities have a little bit more history to them. There's a few more historical sites that you can find. For example, Fort McMurray has this amazing shipyard downtown. There's just something a little bit charming and a little bit less overwhelming in a smaller city. So there you have it, my top 10 reasons why I personally think living in a smaller city is way better than living in the hustle and bustle of a big city.